How's it? Okay, gents. So the reason I've had this, I'm calling this little impromptu meeting, is because of what we went through on Thursday. Yeah. And I wanted people to get an idea of the experience. So what we're going to talk about here is the incursion we did into Hillbrow on Thursday. So with me is Loiso, he went with, and JP. So what you got to understand is that both Loiso, JP, and then of course as well as myself, are all recovering drug addicts. And we went to go film this stuff. I'm fortunate in this thing in that I'm probably the one guy here that had a sort of an understanding of what was going on there, because I've been in and out there once or twice to go and fetch people for rehab. But I wanted to talk to these two guys who've never been there before and get their idea. So, to just start, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, all right, Loiso, just give us an idea from the time that we arrived there. Just give us your rundown on the whole thing, and then I'll move to JP. And then once he's said his say, then, we can have a little interaction. But there's no rush. Just tell us exactly what your feelings were from the minute we got there to pretty much, what you saw and the people we met, and what your impressions were when by the time you left. What I'm going to just try and do, I'm just going to try to set this camera up a little bit while we're still busy. That's not working so well. Let me move it back down again. And sort of, let me just get JP, because JP needs a wide angle lens just by himself there. All right, guys. Okay, Loiso, let us know sort of, from the time we sort of, arrived up to Ponte and then we went up to the police station, what your impressions were.
Sheesh, man. PD, for me, it was just very...
Speak up, eh?
It was, for me, it was just very, very sad and unfortunate, because you could see that, like, the whole place has one theme.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing, like, standing out that looks good when we drove in.
Yeah,
everything seems like dilapidated buildings, and the painting of all the buildings seems similar. Seems like
gray.
Yeah, that grey that hasn't been looked after in years. I haven't been in CBD or seen how Joburg was prior to how it looks now, but from what I've heard and what I've seen online as well, is very, very, very different. And once we got into the CBD, I realized that one thing that stood out for me is that there's a lot of foreigners. Like, it's just full of foreigners that are and not foreigners that are working, people just standing around.
Okay, but now on that note, how many actual drug dealers did you see that you would have classed, like, if you'd have driven into an area that you would have said, okay, this is definitely these drugs, so yeah, dealing drugs?
Plenty. Probably from
I don't agree with you, eh?
Why not?
I don't agree with you. But
if I saw two, it was a lot. What you can see. Okay,
but I'm biased. I've got to tell you this. I'm biased. I'm not saying you're wrong. Mm-hmm. There's no wrong or right. That's your impression. Your eyes. This is the thing about, like, if you get to a murder scene and you're interviewing witnesses, you'll say to people, "Did you see this?" And this one guy will say, "No."
Yeah.
And another guy will say, "What are you mad?" You understand? But coming from my perspective. There where I did that shot of the Sands Hotel?
Yes.
You must understand, when I used to score there were about 1,500 dealers standing there. And I'm not exaggerating. You would drive in and you would stop, and they would just pommel your car, or whoever's car you were in. And they'd be like almost fighting each other at your windows to try and get your 50 Rand before the next oak. So when I stood in that street, I saw like no one. So for me, I come from that perspective.
Yes.
You've never been there.
No.
And you drove in there and you're like, all right, and you're an African guy.
Yes.
So you will spot them a lot quicker than we will, Yeah. And from your side of the story, you saw people that you were convinced these are definitely drug dealers.
Well, PD, I'll say, in my addiction.
Yeah.
Let me go back from 2012.
Yeah.
when I used to go and score there by the sands, it
Yeah.
was like how you are saying,
yeah.
where there was like a whole lot of people that, because it's a four-way street. They'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
full
Yeah.
on every corner and every street.
Actually,
right?
6
Yes.
streets. 1,
Yeah,
2,
yes,
3,
4.
4. Yeah, that's odd.
So whichever direction you came into, they would be full on the sides. I think now they've kind of scattered because of the cops. It's easy to spot them. But I would see that, okay, this shop is not an internet cafe. That is not selling food.
Where they're in the brown.
Yes.
When we
so
went there
yes,
this
when we
time.
went there now. So they have like this laminated door with food, written food, but then they're standing out there. But it's not food being sold.
Yes, I didn't even take note
didn't
of that.
even check that,
I didn't even,
man.
I promise you, I didn't take note of that.
Because that's what I realized, that okay, these people are standing here. And when I went to the one, before I went to go and take the video of the footage of the guy injecting,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
guys that had like it's subdivided into 3 little kitchens. But it's all kitchens, but there's only one mama. The 2 other kitchens are Nigerians standing at the doors. And when I checked inside, there's no pots going or anything. But the third one that had
The pots are in the back cooking, flipping I didn't, it just shows you how out of touch even I've become, because that's generally stuff I would have picked up on, and I didn't even pick up on that. I was so focused on filming and getting answers from Henny that I didn't even notice that. So we drove in and you check these people and you notice the stuff. When was like the first time you sort of felt like, hey, things are just not right in this place? But you know what it was for me, honestly?
Yeah.
When we came down, I almost went that back route, and then we couldn't get out because of the roadworks. Remember?
Yes,
And I went
yeah.
around, and then we got onto Clarendon Place and Empire, which is 2 main roads.
Yeah.
And I just saw them, they'd just torn up the whole road, and you like there was
There's a
one
little
little
space,
I thought,
yeah.
birds. If this is like what the main roads look like, can you imagine what the rest of this place is? That was when I got my first idea of things are pretty hectic here. You?
Sure. For me, it was when I saw the people outside the police station first.
Really, eh?
Yeah, that's when I was
Because you filmed that.
because I was like, damn, if there's a guy sleeping here with like a sail, a suitcase, and like a cup, you can see he's using that cup to pee in. And he's just got
I
it
didn't
there.
even notice that.
And he's just got it there by his head. So he's like taking it, going under the blanket because it was cold. And raining the days prior to us going there.
Yeah.
And then you can see that. And then I'm like, yes. So everyone, oh my God.
I don't know what happened. Let's just pause it. We can
Alright.
redo it. We can just start over. So let's just carry on here. I'll now have to, do extra work here and edit it together. Thank you. So we just got invaded by the Prince of Darkness, Eskom, and luckily the solar kicked in. So so the people outside the police station and the guy peeing in the cup.
Yeah, so I saw that and then I was like, damn. So there isn't like, in my mind, I'm like, isn't there like homes or like those shelters where people can go? I'm like, okay, so it's that bad. So everyone just walks past. And this person is, you can see, because we were there early in the morning.
That's right.
So this person's been sleeping there since last night, is hopeless.
On a
is
pavement.
On a pavement, not getting up. Probably waiting for someone or one of these constables or someone that is holding leftovers of something to just wake him up and say, hey, here's some food.
Yes.
And then that hits me, and then we walk in, and we see the state of the police station itself. That most of the gates are not operational.
Yeah.
There's one big gate that's wide open.
People
Also-
sleeping in the entrance.
And I also checked with that gate, it was off the rails, eh?
Yeah.
So-
Which one?
The main gate, that big
The
one.
one, where we went in.
Where we went in.
Yeah.
Off the rails, so you can't open or close it.
And right
Now that feels
Yeah.
for me, because when we worked there, old pal, our officers would never have tolerated that. We would have been on special duties for, special duties was like extras, full old, if you will, here from the rehab. It was, if they came there and the van was dirty or, the front of that place wasn't spotless, it would have been a big problem. That shocked me, I must be honest. When I saw the barracks, guys, let me tell you, I posted a picture of the barracks on social media, and all the ex-policemen that lived with me there, guys were sending me messages. I must have got 10, 15 messages from guys that stayed with me. They said, You know, it's shocking to see that was our home. You must understand, that was
Yeah.
our home. You know, we lived there. It was absolutely shocking, right? Your first impressions?
Yes.
Coming from the rural metropolis of Secunda?
Sifkunda.
Don't say that. People are going to watch this. They're going to come and fight with you.
Yo, I was shocked. I was speechless. It's something I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah.
You know, from where I come from, a small town of Secunda.
Yeah.
We've got like here and there someone that's on the robots and living under the bridges, but
Yeah.
it's not to that extent.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I saw, I was speechless. It took the breath out of me, and
Yeah.
it was difficult to comprehend in my mind what my eyes are seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like something you'll see on a movie, that like Afghanistan soldier thing.
Yeah, for me it was like those videos you watch of, you know, when they show LA and they show like the homeless in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hit me like that. So, you know, I don't want to make this thing too long because I don't want people to lose interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you first, negatively, what are the things that negatively impacted you first? Like when you saw like the negative side of it, what was like let me put it this way, what was like the thing that hit you the hardest there, negatively? I've got an idea, and I'll tell you, once you've told me, I'll tell you if I think I was right or wrong.
Oh, PD, what really hit me negatively, and like it still hits me till now. Actually, it's that first building.
The smell.
Not only the smell, the fact that
The smell.
the smell was bad, was horrific actually. But the fact that when we walked out, I genuinely thought that building was vacant. I thought that we were walking into a vacant building because there's no windows.
Yeah.
There's feces everywhere.
Fresh.
And
Fresh human feces,
you know,
lying everywhere.
And then when we walked out and I stood opposite the street and I looked up,
Yeah.
and I saw this girl, she's probably 14 years old,
Yeah.
with maybe it was her little brother,
Yeah.
and they were looking out the window to see who are this crew or people that are here
From that building.
From that building.
Yeah, son.
And then I was like, my God.
There's people living here.
And I was like, sure. Now this.
I'll tell you which one I thought that you were going to mention was when we went to after we went to the Sands and the Mountbatten and all that, and then we went to that other building there in Lily Road on that hill.
Yes.
Where Henny gave that woman some money for her and her kids. And she said, hey, well, you know, you actually translated it for us, and you said to me, you know what this woman has just said? And I was like, do you want to tell them what she just said?
Yeah, so Henny was like helping them out, you know, just because they were happy to see him. They know
Because
him.
he's Henny.
Yes. And so after he helps them out, the one is telling the other girl that, hey, I don't know where this guy came from. In Zulu, if you translate, it's like it's this miracle.
Yeah.
Who sent this guy to come and it's like he knew my problems.
Yeah.
He knew that I need this money, you know. And then the other one was like, yes, it's been days without pads. That's the first thing we need to go and buy.
Sanitary pads.
We need to go and get pads and some vegetables like tomatoes and potatoes so we can cook for later. That's what they were discussing. And that hit me also. That I'm like, geez.
And tell the viewers why it was important for them to have pads. Other than, women need pads, but why did they say?
Because they're prostitutes. They sell their bodies for money. And
so because they're prostitutes, you know, things are not very hygienic in the most important place.
Yes. The place
Imagine that. And if you guys go to the video and you see what Lily Street looked like, we took a shot there of the one, not the big derelict building, the other building that's like half broken down. At the back of that building, there's a whole lot of rooms there. And those women were living in those rooms with small children.
And they were young, like 20 years old,
at least,
19. And when we're leaving, they're like begging, please. Well, they told me first, and then like, please, ask him for a job. Ask him, please.
I heard them also.
Yeah.
Please let him hire us. Please let him hire us. And that also, I was like, shit.
Hectic. What was your most hardcore negative part?
As we came into Hillbrow,
Yeah.
there was a place there on the left. I don't know what street
Yeah,
it is because I don't know the
yeah.
area.
No, of
but
course.
It's like as we got into it and we turned to go into Hillbrow, and you
Yeah.
told us, here we go. I think it's
Yeah.
Nugget Street.
Yeah.
As we went
Up
over
the hill, yeah.
up the hill, over that crest,
Yeah.
there's a place there on the left, and I saw little kids, so just standing there on the outside barefoot.
Yeah. And it was
shorts,
cold. It was cold and it was raining.
Short pants and like a torn up jersey.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I was like, yes, how can these people live like this? We were actually very fortunate, even in here where we're at in our recovery, that we are fortunate to have this opportunity to live in a building like this. It's got a proper roof. I've got
Yeah,
clothes.
it's crazy.
I've got a bed. I've got 3 meals a day, and it broke my heart to see that. It was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was very, for me,
No, it's
that was
crazy.
the saddest
No,
thing
it's
when
crazy.
we
It's
just
crazy.
got into it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
And
bad.
as we carried on, it's like everything's starting to fall into place of how you explained what Hillbrow has become to what it was back in the day. Because my father also told me stories about Hillbrow where they used to go and jail there. And he mentioned Cafe Zurich and all those places. And what he explained to me and what I experienced,
Two worlds.
it's two different worlds.
Yeah, it's insane. I said on that video, I did a video the following morning. I did a TikTok video. And I said, we're worrying about Afghanistan and Gaza. We put Afghanistan and Gaza as
Right here.
15 km from here.
Yeah.
So my most negative, I had so many. That building that you mentioned was definitely
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
one of the top. Another one was those guys living on the street and shooting heroin and that.
Oh yes.
And then a big one for me was when we went to that old rehab, the house, and I saw those people were living in that place. That was just mind-blowing. And a big one, really, one of my biggest ones was the same place where those girls were helped out. That guy standing in the rubbish there, picking through the rubbish, it just reminded me of like a scene from one of those apocalypse movies, like the Book of Eli or something, where people are just scrounging through what's left after an atomic explosion. And then I looked up like this, and I just saw people have got blankets and stuff for walls, and are looking at us from the 3rd, 4th floor.
Looking down.
Looking down like, who these people in my yard, you know what I mean? It was mind-blowing. And then some of those parks we drove past, seeing those kids playing in those dilapidated, disgusting parks was really crazy for me. I just, I think I've been on a guilt trip since I've been to that place, I must be honest with you. Positives.
The positive, some of the positives is that even though it's like some form of learned helplessness, but they've got this urge to survive. Most of the people,
Resilience.
this resilience. Thank you for the word.
Yeah.
The resilience to like keep.
Yeah, but it's a good point. How do you wake up in the morning and be positive about the day if you're living there?
I don't know how they do that.
And what I would another positive is when I spoke to the other gentleman, the one that works for Bad Boys, and how things were compared
Mkhize.
to
Yeah.
how things were in terms of murder, crime, drugs, prostitution
Yeah.
in the past 10 years to how it's like progressing bit by bit, where people are scattering. It's not so much mugging and stabbings and shootings during the day, and
But a lot at night.
yes, plenty at night, and most of the hot spots are not so hot anymore, and like people are trying to come together as a community to like fix the problem. That for me was like, okay, we still have that.
Is there a chance for that place?
I feel like there is. I feel like we, as De Klerk said, we need people that are passionate and that know what they're going to be doing and be sure.
Yeah.
And that place can turn around in 5 years.
So, I don't know, 5 years. So, I'm already planning 2 other visits to other areas. And I want to take specifically still you guys with, but I want to find guys here at the rehab that can take us through these places. I want to go to, well, there's 3 places that I've got in my mind. 4, actually. I want to go to the south of Johannesburg, Rosettenville, Turfentine, the Hill. Then I want to go to Windsor in Randburg because, everybody, hey, we live in the northern suburbs, everything's fine here. I want to go and film some stuff there. And Randburg itself, Randburg town. And I want to go to Boksburg, I want to go show people what Boksburg looks like. But, I want to take someone like Alan to go and show us Boksburg, because he'll show us Boksburg. And and then what I want to do is I want for you guys to then tell me, all right, which is the worst, and whether or not there really is a chance at changing these places. What were your positives, bro?
My positives, that Christian place,
That school.
yeah, right there outside. But I'll get to that other one now. That's at the old German embassy.
Yeah.
There was a Christian school right outside that first building.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
As you come out of it, they're there.
Yeah.
And I walked there and I went to go and check and I looked inside and it's nice and it's clean and you could hear the children inside.
Yeah.
That was for me a very good positive. And then the old Christian facility where we went into last.
The community center.
Yes,
Yeah.
that for me
Center,
was.
yeah.
And then that park where we had that interview with Henny, where we said,
Yes, the peaceful park.
yeah, and for me that place was like a sanctuary in the middle of hell, because it is noisy in Hillbrow. But as soon as we went in there, everything was quiet and it was peaceful.
Didn't you find it amazing though that all the places that were like trying to do the positive things that were looking good, and all of them were Christian that we saw?
Yeah.
Hey? Didn't
No,
that strike
for
you?
sure. It was.
That struck me.
It shows that there's power in the blood of Jesus. That if you believe in God and in Jesus and you do the things the right way, even in hell there can be a heaven.
You can be. So what do you think? What do you think the solutions are? What's the solutions? So, I don't want to go political.
Yeah.
But I want to say this. Do you really feel like, after seeing that the government that serves us is serving us and has our best interest at heart?
No.
For me, I feel it's actually crazy because I was thinking about it. I was like, that's
We're touching subject here now, man. Just watch out, you're going to be called a flippin' Oreo and
no, man. That doesn't bother me. Those people don't bother me. It felt genuinely, and if I'm lying or if you feel different, or anyone that has been there feels different, they are more than welcome to comment and give their opinion or whatever.
Can I tell you something honestly?
Yes.
From what I've seen in my life, honestly. There was a movie with Matthew McConaughey where a bunch of rednecks raped a black girl in a redneck town in like the south of America, and he was the lawyer. And what happened was Samuel L. Jackson was the father of the little girl, and he I don't know, he did something horrific to those acts, and then he got arrested and charged, and Matthew McConaughey was representing him, and then he gave this like thing where he said, imagine this 10-year-old girl walking down the road, and these guys stop and they do what they did to her, and then they leave her broken and discarded body on the side of the road, in the trauma that they left her, because they didn't kill her, but I promise you, she probably felt like it would have been better to be dead. And then he kept quiet like this, and he said, right, have you all got that picture in your head? And they went like, yeah. And he said, okay, now imagine she's white. Because the whole jury was white, right? And ultimately he won the case. And I want to say this, I really see this in South Africa. And I'm going to catch a lot of flack on this podcast for this statement. I think a lot of people look at it and they go, well, that's the black problem. That's their problem. It's not our problem. And this is what I'm fighting about. It's not. It's our problem. It's all of our problem. We're all South Africans. We're all living here. It's our problem, bud. And I think more and more people need to, realize that. Here at Walking with Winners, we're not helping white people. We're helping people. And everyone who comes in here broken and destroyed, regardless of his colour, is just as broken and destroyed as the next guy, regardless of his colour. What do you think about that?
That's true, PD.
How does it feel as a black guy seeing black people go through that? Because I think us as white people, especially an older guy like me, we've been desensitized
to things like that.
Because of apartheid and the way we grew up,
I was angry.
Were you angry, eh?
I was angry. I was I was more angry than I was sad. And I was like, I was embarrassed on behalf of the people that are supposedly supposed to be for us, I was really embarrassed.
So if a guy walks in here from a political party now, let's say the ruling party or its affiliates, right, and they say to you, right, what reason do you think they could give you? What promise do you think they could give you after seeing what you've seen that would make you believe that they... Nothing.
Personally, nothing, because it's... The structures of government have collapsed there. It felt like I was about to say that it feels like there is no government. It feels like it's just Mad Max. No,
100%. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
It is. It's Mad Max.
It felt like we were in the middle of Mad Max. Everyone for himself. The cops that are passing through are not cops to stop crime, are cops to get bribes.
See what they can get.
To leave. So those were gangsters as well. And their urgency was to get appointments to pick up money. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And here is just man for himself and...
Good luck.
Yeah. And I was like, damn.
Yes.
They don't
Do you know what I saw this morning? I'm coming to you now.
Yeah.
You know that explosion in Bree Street?
Yes. And the gas?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know it's still not fixed. They haven't even started on it.
The contract was awarded to a Nigerian.
I'm shocked. Nothing in this country shocks me anymore. And you, what do you think? What positive? You saw the park, but what do you think the solutions are? How do you feel about about South Africa and what you saw there, particularly now Hillbrow? And I'm going to show you. I promise you, when you see Windsor, Hillbrow is going to look like Rosebank to you, but I promise you,
it gets worse.
Worse.
Yes, I thought that was the
worse. They say that at night you can't even go into the CBD of Joburg. Don't even go in there at night, especially if you like let's say an older guy like me and my wife, and we want to take a shortcut through town. It's not going to be a shortcut, but what is going to be a shortcut is going to be your life has been cut shortcut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I said we go to Mozambique and these places for holidays and stuff like that. And what I've seen in the hope that the Mozambicans has had since I've been going there the first time, and the time it took to fix up a little bit of Maputo and those places, I see a lot of that there. And that's been 30 odd years.
Do you think we can stop ourselves going that route? I was in Maputo last year, August. Let me tell you something, bud.
It's close.
But I was in the bad part, people tell me, but you're in the wrong part of Maputo. I don't know what's the wrong part and the right part, but let me tell you something, what I saw is quite frightening when I think about it. And, when I was in Hillbrow now, to be fair, I want to agree with you, it definitely looks we're on the same trajectory.
100%. So when my dad took us to Mozambique the first time, I still have the image in my mind. I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. And those buildings that didn't have fronts on the buildings was the same in Mozambique.
Yeah.
Now,
Except there they had more bullet holes.
yeah, but they had a war, a full-on war there.
I know.
You know? Yeah, it looks like that, and there's no full-on war that's going on, but
Yet.
I don't
yeah,
know.
yet.
think
But
there
what I
is a
mean
thing.
is,
There is a
I
full-on
reckon
war.
if we had a full-on war here, we'd probably lose less people than we're losing now. You know, I don't know. I'm just, thumb sucking that statement, but
Yeah.
it's hectic, bud.
no, it's awful to see.
What do you think? How are we going to solve it?
I don't know.
So,
I don't
if
know.
you look at it, the scale of the problem is just too big to even consider about how to solve it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no,
I've got an
I feel
idea.
exactly the
I've
same.
got an
Yeah,
idea. First of all, I've sent this video out to everybody. Like I said in devotion this morning, we've had about 120,000 views on the video and the affiliated videos. And we've had two offers of help now, and both are, one is from family of mine and one is from a guy that's on the program's family. In their small capacity that they can help. They can give a couple of brooms and some tin food and that, small.
Yeah.
But from the wealthy, absolute silence. Then, you're not prepared to help the people that are in dire straits, but then you get upset when those very same people want to put communist dictatorships in place. You can't understand why people are gravitating towards these radical groups, all right, that are threatening to take away business, take away everything. You can't understand why people are so stupid and they're gravitating towards these fools. But you as business and you as the wealthy are not prepared to
do
help
anything.
them.
To
Maybe
help,
if you started helping them, you would be able to pull them away from this radical thinking into a more commonsensical thinking. Because let me tell you something. I starved in prison, and you don't make good decisions when you're starving. You make decisions to feed yourself. And if people are promising to feed you, and the people that can feed you are not feeding you, it makes perfect sense that you become radicalized.
And you do what you need to survive.
I know how to fix that place. We need input from big business to support people like de Klerk, who are not in it to enrich himself. He's done perfectly fine with his personal businesses, and that of which he sows massive amounts into that place. But we need those types of people to invest in people like that can make the changes. And the way to fix Hillbrow, I'll tell you how to fix Hillbrow, is building by building, block by block. And the main way to fix it is, while you're doing it, you use the people that are going to live in those very same buildings to fix those buildings. Because once they've fixed the place that they're going to live in, they will make sure that no one comes and destroys the place that they've spent time and effort into fixing. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet piece.
Shot, guys.
Sweet.
I hope that it motivated you to want to make changes in not just your own lives, but in other people's lives, and to show you how important it is that we recover and that we help. We need to help. We need to help, right? By however means, and I'm going to help in whatever capacity I can. Lekker. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming with.
Shot.
I think first on the list is going to be Wednesday next. I think. We'll check it out. All right.
All right.
Sweet
Cool.
boys. Cheers.
Cheers.